Um, what I'm going to do today is make just a very general introduction to COMNET, and then there will be the plan is that there will be a series of probably 9 or 10 additional webinars like this where we'll go through the detail. So COMNET was developed in just to give you the current status. It was developed in 2009. We had 2 public reviews in 2010. The first one was in the first quarter of 2010. We got about 80 comments at that time. We responded to them, made substantive changes. Had a second public review, which was in July of 2010. We didn't have to make any substantive changes in response to that second review, so the document was published in August 2010. We followed a consensus process, but the process was not done through a standard development organization certified by ANSI, so it's not an ANSI document. And it was the document can be reviewed and downloaded from a website called COMNET.org, and if you add /MGP at the end, it'll take you straight to the modeling guidelines and procedures. The document really had 2 starting points. One was the ASHRAE 90.1 ECB compliance supplement, which was developed in the mid-90s, but never really published. This had some useful modeling guidelines. That was a starting point. The other document that we used as a starting point was the California ACM manual, which is referenced in the tax credit legislation. So COMNET currently it supports 3 purposes. The first purpose is to do the modeling necessary for federal tax credits, which uses 90.1 2001 as a baseline, along with a performance rating method in later versions of 90.1. The second purpose are green building ratings, primarily LEED, and the current versions of LEED use 90.1 2007 as the baseline. And the third purpose is for energy labels, in particular the Design to Earn Energy Star program. Future purposes that we hope will be completed this year would support ASHRAE's Building EQ rating program, and California is modifying its requirements to use COMNET procedures, or maybe it should put it the other way around. They're modifying COMNET to work for their purposes. And then we also intend to add the most recently adopted version of 90.1, version 2010, as a baseline during this year. There's lots of tool classifications, but the one that COMNET focuses on are hourly simulations, since this is the class of tool that's used for performance rating methods and 90.1 compliance and ECB, not ECB, but the performance rating method, Appendix G. The main document is organized into 7 chapters and 6 appendices, and we'll go through these very quickly. And each of these chapters will be covered in much more detail in subsequent seminars that we have. This document is available at COMNET.org, MGP. When you go there, eventually the content, we'll be able to filter the content by purpose. You'll see where my mouse is pointing right here. Right now it just says original, but when we begin to support multiple baselines and multiple purposes, it's going to get kind of confusing. So you'll be able to go here under purpose, and you could choose the ASHRAE 2010 baseline and or the tax credit purpose, and only the information that's relevant for that purpose would be displayed. I'll cover that in a little more detail in a minute. Registered users, once you go to this website, you can register, which is a very simple process. And once you register, you can make comments on any of the pages in the document, and other people can make comments on your comments, so we can have a whole discussion stream going on about the page and how it works. And our goal is that this website will work as a collaborative authoring system, so that all of us can improve the document over time. Chapter 2 discusses general modeling procedures, and this diagram, I'm not going to try to go through this. I know it's kind of hard to read. We'll cover it in more detail in one of the subsequent seminars. But this goes through the sizing procedures, how you actually size the systems in the baseline building using the 2007 sizing rules. Now, in 2010, this was simplified quite a bit, because the delta 50 of unmet load hours was dropped, and so this whole process will be a lot more simple when we move to 2010. But this is the way it works, we think, for 2007. Chapter 3 lays out the software requirements. There are general requirements about, it has to be a 8,760 hour simulation, those kinds of things. We have some tests, but they're all basically based on ASHRAE Standard 140, which is which is referenced in COMNET, and we've added some acceptance criteria around those tests. So we will this will be also addressed in a subsequent seminar. And then the final thing in chapter 3 is that there's some supplemental tests that have been added to, and the purpose of these tests is to verify that prescribed or default modeling assumptions are correctly applied to both the baseline and the rated building model, and that the baseline building, has the correct U factors, HVAC systems, and so forth. So this little image at the bottom shows the prototype buildings that are included in the COMNET appendix for these additional tests. There's about 30 of those tests that are performed to verify that the software correctly implements the modeling assumptions. Chapter 4 specifies the content and format of standard reports. What we're expecting is that COMNET accredited software would post-process the results of the calculation engine, and these would be presented in both as a PDF and also as an XML file. We have developed, COMNET has developed an XML schema that includes a building summary, a list of energy measures, the energy results in tabular forms, and also some representations. The representations are statements by the modeler or the architect or engineer that, to the best of their knowledge, the inputs in the model represent the plans or the existing building, as the case may be. Chapter 5 COMNET has 16 default time of use tariffs that can be used in the calculation process. There's a separate tariff for each of the ASHRAE DOE climate zones. These were built from wholesale energy prices by our consultant E3. They used a process or procedure similar to the process that was used to develop California's time-dependent valued energy numbers. And what's shown here is an example for one of the climate zones. So there's the top part has the electricity tariffs for summer on peak, weekdays. So over here's peak, mid-peak, off-peak, and so forth. Then chapter 6 is the bulk of the page count of the documents. This is chapter 6 is what we call a building descriptors reference, and a building descriptor is a general term that's used in COMNET, and we've tried to keep everything independent of any of the simulation programs. We don't use any DOE2 commands or keywords. We try to keep it generic. So we have about 550 building descriptors. A building descriptor is everything from the climate zone used to the area of a wall to the construction of the wall to properties describing the boiler or the chiller or the tower. And while there's 550 of them, many of them will of course be repeated. So a typical energy model would have many more building descriptors than just the 550. The 550 are just unique descriptors that are used. Then for each building descriptor, we describe its applicability. In other words, does it apply to tax credits or just to green building ratings? There's a description of it, and then there's any input restrictions. For instance, if you're using tax credits, if your purpose is tax credits, then the schedules that you use are not your actual building schedules. You have to use the California ACM schedules. So that kind of input would of course be restricted, and it would fall into the category of neutral independent. These three categories of inputs, asset, neutral independent, and neutral dependent, were developed as part of the ASHRAE Building EQ program. A building descriptor that's an asset would be something like the construction of the wall, the efficiency of the chiller, and it would affect the rating of the building. A neutral independent variable would be the same for the baseline and the rated building. And the word independent just indicates that the value is fixed for both cases. And neutral dependent means that the value is the same for the baseline and the rated building, but that the baseline building takes its value from the rated building. Most of the modeling rules in the performance rating method are neutral dependent. And then the final section of each building descriptor describes how the baseline building is defined in terms of that building descriptor. The building descriptors are also summarized in Appendix A, which has it's an Excel spreadsheet that has them all listed. And then there's lots of references to Appendix B, and Appendix B has modeling data, and the modeling data include default plug loads, lighting power required by the various baselines, occupancy levels, outdoor air, water heating, process energy, and so forth. Chapter 7 gets into advanced modeling, and advanced modeling chapter, it kind of covers challenging building types like healthcare and data centers, and covers a number of design features that often challenge the capabilities of simulation programs. So this chapter is a little bit different in that it's more advice to the modeler, where most of the rest of COMNET is written as a software specification, although it can be used by modelers to guide their work. Anyway, we think there's a lot of benefits to energy modelers once we have a COMNET accredited software. It should take less time to build the models. The baseline building would be automatically generated, so that would save a lot of time. You only need to specify the proposed design, and then the baseline would be created automatically. We've also recommended ways to add credit for energy uses like plug loads and commercial refrigeration that are not currently addressed by 90.1. And we're hoping that that accredited software can then be used for multiple purposes, so that you'll be able to use it for tax credits or green building ratings, energy labels, and even code compliance in the future. There's a lot of we believe there's some benefits to software developers as well, because software developers would only need to they would just have one set of requirements to deal with, and they could once their software is accredited by COMNET, it could be used for multiple purposes. We believe that the COMNET requirements are consistent with the performance rating method, although hopefully we'll verify that through this vetting process. And it's already been vetted by peers, and we're continuing to go through additional vetting through this process we're initiating now. There should be fewer development costs if the software developer can develop its code for one set of requirements and have it used for multiple purposes. And we hope there will be some third-party credibility added as well. And then for rating authorities. Rating authorities would be ASHRAE as it runs its building EQ program, or EPA through its Energy Star program, or USGBC who's running LEED, or California Energy Commission for compliance purposes. The benefits to them is they should have much more confidence in the results, because all of the neutral variables are constrained by the process. There should be less time to review submittals, and data should flow seamlessly into their database through the XML files that we've specified. There should be less gaming of the system, and also we believe the process is adaptable to new and changing baselines. Let me show you just a little bit about the COMNET.org website. If you go straight to COMNET.org, this is the home page, and you can if you click here on this document, or if you click over here, it will take you to a page where you can download the entire document as a PDF. So right here it says download the MGP, Modeling Guidelines and Procedures. This document is it's an Acrobat portfolio, and what that means is that it has multiple files contained within it. So once you open this document, you can see all of the appendices as well as the document itself. However, if you go to see in the header up here, it says comnet.org/MGP. When you go here to this part of the website, you can actually move through the document. For instance, if we click on the plus sign next to software requirements over here, you can see that this expands. If you click on the plus sign next to 3.1, that expands. If you click on 3.1-11 with managing user input, it takes you to that section of the document. So and then at the bottom there's a next and a previous button where you can move to the next page or the previous page and so forth. So what you can do then, if you we would recommend that all of you click on this button where it says create new account, and when you do that, you'll be asked not for much information, just your email address, first name, last name, and the rest of it is really kind of optional. And there's a little CAPTCHA thing down at the bottom that you put in, and then I'm not going to do this because I already have an account, but once you do this, you will then receive an email automatically, and then you have to respond to that email, and then once that happens, you're a registered user on the site. Let's go back to where we were. So I'm going to log in as So I'm now logged in, and once you log in, there's a little button at the bottom where you can say show comments, and for this particular page of the website, I actually added a comment that says that, while we use the term building descriptors, this does not mean that interfaces have to actually support the use of or the direct input for every building descriptor. For instance, a software application could import a BIM model of, say, a tower or a chiller, and with that one keystroke, you could populate values in multiple building descriptors. So we wanted to make that clear. So if one of you then wanted to respond to or comment on my comment, you'd click on the reply button here, and you'd be able to, I'm not going to comment on my own comment, so I'll back out of here. But that's how this works. So we would encourage you to use this part of the website as you to make your comments. But you can also download the PDF and go that way too. Another thing you can do, you can create PDF files directly from this web page, and when you do this, for instance, right now we're looking at 3.1.11, and if you clicked PDF in this case, you would only get a PDF file for this one section. But if you went to the beginning of chapter 3 and you click make a PDF, it would give you a PDF of all of chapter 3. So basically the PDF version button here that you see it creates a PDF of the topic you're in and all of the children that belong to that topic. Um, Ellen mentioned that we're going to have a series of vetting seminars like this, and this one is the overview. That's what we're having today, and then we're going to just go. We're just going to plow through this document chapter by chapter. Except when we get to chapter 6, we're not going to be able to do it all in one session. That's going to take multiple sessions because chapter 6 is so involved, and chapter 7 may require multiple sessions too. So we anticipate a series of probably 10 additional sessions. We hope to schedule these following the Montreal meeting on a weekly basis, the same time during the week. So I want to thank you for listening today, and you can log on to the same website to look at the COMNET material in more detail. Thanks very much.